Hey, welcome back. John Dale's here with Mitch Holthus, voice of the Kansas City Chiefs. Mitch, a lot to talk about with this team coming off a Super Bowl championship last year. I guess I'll start with what is on everybody's mind right now is Chris Jones. His holdout still going on at the time we're recording this. How ready is the team to start the year without maybe the best defensive player in football?
One thing that Andy Reid has done in now his 11th year as the head coach of the Chiefs has been able to deal with flashpoints. And whether it's injuries or challenges, they've won, John, for 10 consecutive years. They've been the winningest team in the league over that decade. And it just he doesn't blink or flinch. So you got to figure this out. Chris Jones had a dominating year last year, we all know, but if he's not there, still hoping he will be there, but if he's not, they have to somehow compensate. Well, that's just not a one-to-one match here. It's utilizing different personnel, outside guys inside, and some complicated blitz schemes to try to make up for what Chris Jones brings to the party.
One of the other kind of question marks heading into the year is what's the offense going to look like now that Eric Bieniemy's gone. Matt Nagy comes into that offensive coordinator position, but he's not a new face. He's a guy who's been around the organization for a while.
John, it's one of the understated stories of the run to the Super Bowl 57 championship was blessing in disguise when Nags got fired by Chicago because he was able to come back. Mike Kafka had left to go be the offensive coordinator for the New York Giants, and Nags and Patrick Mahomes have an incredible relationship. That with Andy Reid and David Girardi, who was at Northwestern on their staff with Kafka. But I think people saw it on the Netflix quarterback series. Patrick Mahomes is an astronaut surrounded by NASA scientists. And one of those NASA scientists is Matt Nagy. They're very close, and it works.
Another question about the offense, too, with Pat Mahomes. Who he's going to be throwing it to. Look, Tyreek Hill's been gone for a couple of years now. Kadarius Toney seems like a guy that a lot of people want the Chiefs to lean on, but he's also dealing with more injury problems.
I try to tell everybody in the Chiefs Kingdom they all want to take a wide receiver in their fantasy draft, and I go, take Kelce or Mahomes, but you might want to wait on the wide receivers only because it almost goes week by week. Marquez Valdes-Scantling last year had 116 yards against Cincinnati in the AFC Championship game. Sky Moore is going to be a big part of this package going in. Richie James is going to be a part of it. It's really like an algebraic equation with multiple variables. There's not just one guy. You're going, hey, he's going to be a 15-yard receiver. I know it's frustrating for fantasy fans, but for reality football, it's kind of the way Andy Reid likes it because it can be very unpredictable and very creative.
Another change this year, the quarterback room, outside of Pat Mahomes, Chad Henne retired now, and we've learned that backup quarterback position is pretty valuable when you have your backup taking snaps in a playoff game a couple of years ago.
I loved it when we had Chad Henne retired actually the day after the Super Bowl championship. We're on the bus going to the plane to come home, and Dan Israel, our executive producer, said, who's going to win divisional championship games now? Because Chad did it twice during his 15-year career and the years with us. But honestly, the quarterback room has been very good throughout the spring, great in training camp. Sans the Saints game, the first preseason games, the last two have been really good for the most part. The pick six thrown by Buechele, not good. But Blaine Gabbert now, a Mizzou guy in his 12th year, to me has been very impressive. I think the Chiefs are getting more there than I thought they were going to get because Gabbert is a guy who can play and win a game.
Interested, too, obviously, in the number one quarterback in that room, Pat Mahomes. He's coming off another Super Bowl MVP, another league MVP. How is it that he's still able to seemingly get better every year when teams are game planning to take him out of the equation every week?
Well, there's two things here. One, he's just wicked smart, and he's incredibly competitive. He is the only player, John, in NFL history to be a two-time NFL MVP and a two-time NFL MVP and a two-time Super Bowl MVP within a 5-year span. In his first 80 starts, he's number one in the NFL in history in every category, and the most important one is winning. But he continues to regenerate and reinvent himself. And going back to what I said earlier, he's surrounded by all these genius minds on offense, and he's got Travis Kelce. That helps.
Yeah, so those are two of the familiar faces, Travis Kelce, Pat Mahomes. What about maybe some names that Chiefs fans might not know coming into this year that could make an impact early in the season?
Well, I think the young guys on the I mentioned Sky Moore, but a guy like Justin Ross, who became a social media darling And then Rashee Rice, the rookie out of SMU, is going to be a factor here. Then you look at the running backs. They have some big decisions to make at running back. But those running backs now, 28 of the 41 touchdown passes last year by Patrick Mahomes went to running backs or tight ends. And Jerick McKinnon had 7 straight weeks with a running back receiving touchdown. That tied an all-time NFL record. But I could see the tight ends also emerging here. Noah Gray having a bigger and better year that will be helpful. But again, it is week to week. You're going to see different dudes step up and make plays and be a part of this offense. But that's why they're so hard to defend.
And also coming off another Super Bowl, you obviously have a big target on your back every single week. And winning the division 7 years in a row, you have that same target get even bigger. What do you see out of the rest of the AFC West in terms of competition this year?
Well, the Chargers are incredibly talented. They just, how are they going to react after losing a 27-0 lead and losing to Jacksonville last year in the playoffs? And can they finally get over the hump, so to speak? Denver, I think, is still in a transition year with Sean Payton. And what will he do to get Russell Wilson back on track? Or will he play Stidham? I mean, and they're going to try to run the ball and pound it. The Raiders are also in a bit of a state of flux, especially at quarterback. It'll be a very competitive division. It's amazing the Chiefs have won it 7 years in a row. That's second in NFL history, John, only to the run by the Patriots of 11 in a row from 09 to 19 in the AFC East. So we're living in historic times, but the Chiefs are hungry to win an 8th.
I guess we'll see if they get that 8th this season. Mitch, thanks so much.
You got it.
All right, we'll be back after this.